My name is Barry Magruder. I'm a 9163, which is a transit operator. I'm here on behalf of Cynthia Carter. The reason why I'm here is not to testify to anything that has taken place, but to let you guys know that MUNI does not investigate. They have a set of rules for their friends and their co-partners and so forth. But when it comes down to other operators, they go by the book or they go against the book. There's no set rules for any operator. It just depends on how the supervisor feels the day you go in there with a problem. I had a problem, and it was about my FMLA. My superintendent disapproved it, even though I had cancer, and she knew I had cancer. I had to go all the way up to the top in order to get it approved. That made no sense when she was approving other people's things. So this is the way MUNI is ran, and the MTA board is upholding them in their wrongdoing. We have no channel, nowhere to go as an operator to be heard. This does not make any sense. If we're going to have rules, they should be rules for everyone, not just a certain few people. And they should be the same rules. There should be no discrimination. There should be no, because I don't like you, or you're not my friend, or you're not running with me today. And this is the way it's operating there. So I think that somebody needs to look into these cases of people that are being fired and find out what everybody is doing and how many of the same problems they have with their friends that never get fired, never get disciplined, never get suspended. And this is an ongoing thing every day. We should have the right to have our issues addressed, and we don't have that. And it's time for us to have it now, because it's unfair practices all the way around.
My name is Steve Zeltzer, United Public Workers for Action, and I'm speaking, first of all, I brought it up before, this commission handles the disbursement of millions, tens of millions of dollars of taxpayer money in San Francisco, and yet this commission is not on television in San Francisco. It's an outrageous thing. The residents of San Francisco, the taxpayers, have a right to see where the money's going and who's voting on what in this commission. So apparently the PUC and these agencies have a lot of money to dispense, our money, but they don't want people in San Francisco to see it. And it's inexcusable that there's no television of these hearings when this commission has such importance as far as the disbursement of money and also the conduct of the treatment of city workers in San Francisco. So again, I raised, why isn't it happening? As this commission requested, it's been made an issue. The second point I'm raising is a serious systemic problem of, in the MTA-MUNI, in which action has been taken against employees who have been charged with various violations. They've requested documentation from the MTA officer in charge of documents. They refuse to provide the documents to them. As a result of which they're being, in my view, in our view, illegally discharged, and action is taken against them. And this is the case of Dorian Maxwell, who did get his documents, and it was shown that the discipline was false. There were false accusations made against him. As a result of the refusal of the MTA, and I would consider it malfeasance of the MTA person responsible for documents and making sure the documents are available, the Sunshine Commission has cited the MTA Director of Documents and sent it to the Ethics Commission for failure to provide documentation, public record documentation to members. Now this is not just in one case, this is in many cases now at the MTA. And frankly, it seems to be action taken against, disciplinary action taken against employees when they don't have the opportunity to have documentation of actual records that could show that they were not guilty of the charges, should be, I don't think you should take action as far as discipline of MTA employees until they have the right to get the documentation. Because it's an unfair, improper hearing without the right to get the documentation. And in the case of Dorian Maxwell, it's been shown that the charges against him for campaigning against Proposition G were false. He did get the records after going to the Sunshine Commission, which showed that that was a false accusation, and they had to drop their effort to fire Dorian Maxwell. He has subsequently been fired after making health and safety complaints, and we're going to be taking that up. I think this commission should take action to the MTA that you will not take disciplinary action or agree to discipline and fire new employees unless they get their documentation so they can prove or not prove their case.
I've stood before the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force a few times, requested work, my records, my personal records from SFMTA. It's been a year. They sent the SFMTA to the ethics board. To this day, I do not have my complete records. I'm not prepared to be here today. I've asked the commission to wait until I was able to get the records. It's been a year. I should have had the records by now. Yet, I don't have the records. I mean, this incompetence with the SFMTA is really uncalled for. It's unnecessary. Something needs to be done with them wrongfully terminating people. No due process. Something has to be done.
MTA fabricates, of course. As you have seen here in the previous case, where they're stating that I was in an altercation, never happened. They said that the animal shelter called the police. I have proof right here where I called the police because I went down and got the report, which shows that I called the police. I want to say that I would like to address 3 points which I believe are important for the commission to consider in your decision. The first point I would like to discuss involves the incident for which I was terminated on July 5th. I was pedestrian. I have a video here that I would like you to see. When I was nearly hit by this operator, you will see on this video. I ran for help. They did nothing. 2 days later, the operator goes into the superintendent's office, fabricates, and states that I threatened her. And of course, another co-worker of mine to be a witness. To get through the union. As I stated earlier, I've been to the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force on several occasions trying to get videos, tapes, records. To this day, I haven't received anything, just my personal files. There we go.
Perhaps you could narrate to us then what...
Okay, this is the operator.
Getting on the bus, getting ready to pull out. Now I was coming back into the division, so she's in the garage where the buses are parked. I want you to see that again. Anything could have went wrong. When an operator sees a pedestrian in a car or anything, you are not supposed to insist on the right of way. You are supposed to stop the coach, honk the horn. You see that? I would like to know, I mean, what would anybody do if a bus came up on them like that? Anything could have happened. The bus could have went out of, she could have lost control of the bus. Anything could have happened. I'm right there. I could have been killed, okay? According to Bulletin 00084, an operator, when approaching a passenger stop, including loading islands or zones when pedestrians are present, standing or walking, the operator should sound the gong or horn. This operator didn't do either.
Even though I reported the incident to the yard starter, dispatcher, and central control, nothing was done to this operator. A couple of days later, on July 7th, the same operator went into the acting superintendent Wallace Johnson's office and fabricated a story that I threatened her. I was escorted from the division by SFPD, 5 cars of SFPD, and treated as though I was a criminal, and ultimately terminated. I was a victim, but yet was the employee that was terminated. The second point I would like to make is in regards to my record as operator during my tenure at SF MTA. Throughout my tenure, I received numerous accommodations as well as the MAC award. I have some of the accommodations here as well. Many of my passengers told me that they called 311 to let them know that I was an excellent operator, friendly, and very helpful. In 2004, my son was murdered in the city and county of San Francisco. As of this date, his murder remains unsolved. I did not receive any compassion regarding my loss, nor did I request any special treatment. After my loss, I began receiving disparaging treatment from my managers. The treatment was so subjective, harassment and unprofessionalism, that I filed complaints with various agencies, including EEOC, HERB, and the DFBH. Instead of receiving a solution, I was subjected to continuous harassment and worked in a hostile environment. When I complained to the EEOC at SFMTA with Kim Holman, nothing was ever resolved. My complaints fell on deaf ears. The third point I want to make is in regard to the fact that I am neither a threat to the community, nor am I a bad or mean individual. As I stated to you, I received numerous accommodations. My passengers loved me and told me that I was friendly, helpful, and courteous. I was wrongfully terminated, and I believe that I should not be barred from future employment at SFMTA. I should have my job back, and this person that tried to, as you've seen, the proof is in the pudding, kill me. Okay, I've had a child that was murdered. Okay, so to have that happen to me, and this was not the first time she had done this. This is the first time I complained. My union rep went and asked the Wallace Johnson to pull the tape. He refused to. She in turn, I don't know who she spoke with, but initially, as you see, we got the tape through the union 2 weeks later. The fact that Ms. Amata is bringing up an altercation, I never, with God as my witness, have had an altercation, okay, with anybody at the animal shelter. And like I said, if you want to see this, this is proof. I have proof here. What are they working on? Did they investigate anything? No. I'd also like to mention that when in fact, which she shouldn't be bringing up the animal shelter because I won that case. I don't know why she brought it up. I won the case. That I was on the phone, and if Gloria remembers, I was on the phone with her when the incident took place. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Lonnie Holmes, and I am here today to support Ms. Carter. She is a person of high moral character and high integrity. And at that particular incident that she refers to at the animal shelter, she also called me and explained the incident to me. And I've been involved in the law enforcement field for 25 years, and so suggested she call the authorities. And I also suggested you get a copy of the police report on what she's done. But I'm not here to talk about what has happened thus far. I know the charge before you is very clear. And I would suggest that, again, when you look at the veritable cornucopia of issues that have been presented here today, and the issues around MUNI's investigations, or lack thereof, I think that, to let the recommendation stand would be an absolute travesty. And so I would just, ask you to have some consideration and not go with the recommendation, but go ahead and read through the lines and filter your own recommendation so that she can begin to get back to work and support her family. Thank you. Speaker? Oh, I'm sorry. I also want to echo the sentiments of everyone else about Mr. Jones. I've known Mr. Jones for a long time as well. You know, we all grew up in San Francisco, and it's a very small community. And again, I'm glad and I'm hopeful that things will work out for him as well.
Commissioners, and I will adhere to the time frame. Thank you for hearing me again. This is a matter that I was here for, not the first one that I spoke on. I just want to say my name is Shirley Holmes once again. I'm deeply sad to hear a lot of the things that I heard. It's working with under three mayors previously. I do know how the political system in San Francisco is. I went through Art Agnos, all the way through Willie Brown in the Mayor's Gang Prevention Program, and Girls, that was also one of the founders of Girls Against Gang Violence, which Cynthia Carter sat on the board in now, I have decided not to even echo a lot of the things that everyone has said here, but I will say that you can read through the lines. However, I do know that it's difficult. I know that you serve, and with all due respect, Mr. President and Ms. Jones, I appreciate you seeing the fine lines, but I've been on a couple of commissions myself, and you serve at the appointment, at whoever appointed you. So it's a fine line, and I respect those lines that you guys are dealing with right now. But these are blatant forms of neglect and I'd say racism. I'm not just saying this as I don't use this term lately. I'm 54 years old. This is a blatant form of racism, and to say that Cynthia and then there's Mr. Jones, and then there's been others and others and others. Where does it stop, Commission? And I just, all I want to do is ask you to just stop within your purview, within your guidelines, do something to just kind of stop this. We have to stop this. You know, it's not serving this melting pot of San Francisco. We must stop this blatant form of racism. Thank you very much. And Cynthia, been violent, ask the people in Sunnyvale. Ask the residents of Sunnyvale. Ask the mayor's office. Thank you.
Commissioners, Mike Bernardo. I'm here in support of Cynthia Carter. Just the fact that it said the charges state the police were called on her at the animal shelter, while she has proof that she called the police alone, should scrap this recommendation that she be barred from future employment because somebody is lying.
Yes.
And since she has the proof, it's not her. The person who's lying is being dishonest. So therefore, this recommendation that she be barred should not stand. Just because she's a black woman does not mean she should not work for the city. Please scrap this recommendation.
Good afternoon. It was almost good evening. My name is Dorian Maxwell. I've known Cynthia Carter for 5 years since I've been at the Lynn Division. And Ms. Carter has integrity. I have never, in my encounter with her, I've never seen her as a violent person. And as you already know, that the SFMTA is corrupt, criminalized, and all that. And the people that's employed by them in upper management is straight criminals. So they are notorious for falsifying charges or using charges that's been already been dealt with and presenting them again and again. That's double jeopardy. So this commission needs to sit back and evaluate every case that's been presented to them and evaluate the business practice of the SFMTA and how racially corrupt they are. And something needs to be done. This commission needs to launch an investigation on how the SFMTA makes these recommendations that she be barred from the SFMTA It should be some of them people that's making the charges. They should be barred for lying, dishonesty. That's what needs to happen. This commission needs to reevaluate those people also. And bar them from city employment and employment from the SFMTA.
Good evening once again, Gregory Wiggins. Muni operated for 24 years. I would like to point out, first of all, the division that Cynthia is talking about is at 16th and Harrison. What you notice, I spent the majority of my time there. What you notice, the bus never stopped for the pedestrians. She was at too much of a speed. If you look at the bylaws, they were supposed to stop and look left, right, left. Allow pedestrians to pass. She stated her son passed. So she had already knew in her mind, wait a minute, she don't want to get hurt. She don't want no one else to get hurt. I just asked y'all to look into that. Now, another thing I want to say is that should have been an in-house situation and it should have been resolved. But because of sexual harassment played a major role in it, it's imperative that women in San Francisco are being violated. It's also, I want to say that nobody wants to hear a black man or a black woman coming out with the racism. But I'm asking everyone here to look at the facts. Look at the large percentage of African Americans being pushed out of city and county jobs. Look at the large percentage of African American Hispanics being moved out of San Francisco. We're being replaced by the Asian population. It's something. But please, I'm just asking everyone to please consider the facts. It's facts, and anything that's in black and white, to me, it only can be denied if it's not seen or not heard. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you. Do we have any other speakers?
In regards to Cynthia Carter, just to the fact that I go back again to say about the retaliation on the city, on the MUNI employees for our concessions. I sat up here and I feel really bad because I listened to Mr. Kwan and I knew it was his turn to talk. And we want everybody to be heard, but I sit up here and listen to that man lie and say only 3 people were rolled up a week. And it was more like 3 people in a day. And I wouldn't sit up here and it really makes me want to cry to hear our management sit up here and lie. And I have no reason to lie. How all those people got rolled up. I personally didn't get rolled up because during that time I wasn't a conductor. I am a group person. So just in regards to a lot of people getting fired since June of last year, it's been, I'm sure, in the hundreds. And they come here and every time people get fired, it's the same story. They don't want them to have employment with the city anymore. And that's what kind of bothered me when it came down to Paul Jones, that you guys kept going on with working with revenue or not. But if you drive a bus, you don't even work with money. It's just that the cable car division, we collect money. But I sat in with Cynthia. We are a different division, so I don't sit in with their particular cases, but I sit in with all the cable car cases. And basically she's working with a person that's not really a fair person under management. And I've seen different people that she does things to, like the lady here that has cancer. You can't mess with people at FMLA, but still upper management let them do that type of stuff. And that's a federal thing. You got FMLA, the doctor says it, and you have people that turn and take that from you, and they know you have cancer. That's a no-no. Their management over there is awful, and they're being unfair to people, especially black people, women at that, at her division. I can say that.
Thank you. Does that do it for public comment?
I'm Regina Norwood, 9139, transit supervisor for the Metro Rails. And after witnessing that video, if I had a witness that operator driving that fast indoors, I drove out of Flint for 8 years, it's very greasy. She was going so fast that she's running to get out of the way. There was another lady over there in the video, looked like another operator off to the side also. You know, everybody's looking at this operator. This operator's looking to the left. There's a sidewalk when you come out of Flint. On top of that, she's not to be going no more than 3 to 5 miles per hour. And I've been on duty as a transit supervisor at that division. She would have immediately been called to stop in her tracks. She would have been removed from that bus. I would have driven it back around the block, parked it, and sent her to see the dispatcher. That is uncalled for anybody. You don't ever do that. You put someone else's life, not just hers, but she was so angry, you could tell that there was anger there. She's acting like she doesn't see anything over here, looking over there, her hand illegally placed upon the fare box. Your hands are supposed to be on the steering wheel, and then you're looking off with a sidewalk coming up. She's going very fast coming out of that building. That was one of the things. The other thing was, I was with her one day working at the rails. I worked at the Green Division that day on the J line. The supervisor that she's accusing of sexual harassment was assigned that day only for motor coaches on the J line to cover because we had construction going on, so the J's were actually on motor coaches. He had absolutely nothing to do with her on the 9 Express. She was going towards City College at the time. And he was sitting down, he didn't even see who it was. I said, I go, Cynthia, she's flagging me. I go up the hill to see what she wants. He stands up and he makes a phone call to Central Control saying that she illegally left the bus, all this, just made up a bunch of stuff. She took it to EEO, I testified to the EEO person. That was all fabricated too. He made the, while we were listening to the radio, he specifically said, I didn't have anything to do with motor coaches, I was on rails. Well, as a management team, we always, as you saw, Mr. Bora, he just said he's just a manager. He has nothing to do with any of us, technically. But as a manager, as patrons, you have a right to call in and make a request or, you know, testify against an operator doing good or bad. But the bottom line was he couldn't see. She said she didn't have a wheel block. He couldn't tell that. I couldn't tell that. And I was up there. When I got to her, she was on the bus. So at that point, you know, I'm like, why would he even, then she explained to me, I have a sexual harassment. I didn't even know that. So everything, all the calls that he made that day, right after that, she gets in trouble all of a sudden. They start pulling tapes. They went back 6 months trying to get her, not something that she did just now, but they went back in the file 6 months. Everybody knew about it at all the divisions that he was trying to get her out of there. And the superintendents over at Flint were working to help him succeed, and it happened.
Ms. Carter, you've already testified.
Well, this is for somebody, she had to go do
Oh,
cancer.
you're testifying on behalf of someone?
For, yes.
Please.
This is a letter that she wrote because she had to go have her chemo. While working in the outer office, the Barry Magruder that was here.
We already testified. So
Okay, well, this is pertaining to this, something else to my case.
That's what she testified to, is where our understanding.
Okay,
Would you just submit that for the record,
Yes.
so that we don't take everyone else's time? Because she did have a chance to testify in person.
but, okay.
We're not being unfair, we're just trying
Okay.
to. Thank you. Next week.
Yeah, you know, I think we're seeing again and again a serious miscarriage of justice for the city employees of San Francisco. And these charges of racism and retaliation seem to be coming from everywhere. This is not an isolated incident. Cynthia filed a complaint with the Sunshine Commission to get her documents on public records. She was refused. The manager of public records of MTA refused to even come to the hearing. That's why a complaint was filed by the Sunshine Commission with the Ethics Commission. What kind of management do we have in the city of San Francisco when a commission says bring the records and they refuse? So a public worker can't even get the information out to show that there are false charges being made. This shows basically, again, a miscarriage of justice. She was sexually harassed. Sexual demands were made on her by her supervisor, by a coworker. And she complained about it. She stood up and said no. That's why she was retaliated against. That's why management went after her. And you, by accepting the MTA's barring of her from getting a job, are going along with that. You're going along with the sexual harassment. This is not new. This is not something unique in San Francisco. It's happening every day. And I think this commission can't say, well, we can't touch toes here. I think the MTA has to be told, this is unacceptable. This is unacceptable, and you can say that. If you have principles, if you stand up for your principles, you can say that. Yes, you may lose your positions. You may be rebuked by the mayor, and then you say, well, let's have a meeting about it. Let's go into the details. That's what you do. If you go along with this, you're part and complicit of the retaliation and sexual harassment and racism against MUNI employees. That is what your action will be today.
With Cynthia, and it was on First and Market, between Market and a little alley. What bus was you driving at? So it was, I think it was a set of Haight Street bus. And I personally witnessed her calling into central control, you know, in the mic, you know, to tell these people that that there was someone on the bus that was being very violent, right? And if I tell you, the guy responded, it was very curt and disrespectful to her, and I said, well, what's going on, Cynthia? And she told me, she said, you know, that the guy, she had problems with you know, sexual harassment stuff. So I told her, now this was some years ago, and I'll never forget it, because I said, well, I'll write a letter, you know, on the central control. And she told me about the sexual harassment. Now we know that sexual harassment is very prevalent within the city departments, and it's sad for us women. But it takes us women to come together, and men who are not afraid to address the issues to stop this. Now, I do have Susan Brooks, who worked with the San Francisco Police Department, who knows Cynthia very well. She was another board member. She opted. She was had filed sexual harassment claim with the police department, and as a result, she was fired as well. And she opted to not even. She fought a little bit, and she just gave up. We need help.
I'll take your remarks.
Yeah, we need help, President. We need help.
Yeah, I'll take your remarks within the context of supportive character witness for Ms. Carter.
She needs no character witness. What needs to happen is we need to find out who do we go to take the facts. You have a video that shows that this driver was violating the law, breaking the law. You have 3 individuals and possibly 4 that are giving you stuff that they have submitted to you that is unsubstantiated. You have live individuals, because all they have to do is bring live witnesses. If somebody writes something, she stated Ed McCrae, that's my godbrother. I was just about to call him. She gave Ed McCrae as a witness. He told me what happened.
We understand your point.
Thank you.
All of this information is related, but not speaking to the core of the allegations regarding a violent reaction. And that's where we really need to focus. So if you would, Ms. Carter, we'll take some testimony further from the department, and then we'll start some deliberations.
Okay, well, it wasn't finished. There is a witness. There is a witness that witnessed the superintendent, Sarita Britt, telling the person to go out on CI so that will make it a better case to fire me, for me to be terminated with disability. And that would make a better case for them to fire me.
Thank you, Commissioners. I just have to comment that I do need to leave here by 6:45 or my car will be locked up forever until tomorrow morning.
Time is a factor. Commissioners,
To the comments about sexual harassment, that claim was addressed in an earlier Civil Service Commission meeting our EEO department, and the commission voted to accept staff report. Also, as related to the call to SFPD and the former case that she was not terminated on, both parties made phone calls to the police department, and the volunteer made the first call, and police responded on both calls.
You have the proof right there, you've seen it.
Might be characterized as a near miss, is when the allegation
Okay, which allegation are you speaking
for
of?
violence and confrontation.
Okay, so it was made
You-
after what? After I filed my complaint?
Yeah, you said it was.
Yeah, oh, definitely. Yeah, I mean, they were, after I filed the sexual harassment, they came after me hard. They had been harassing me, retaliation, since my son was murdered. That's when I first started experiencing it. The unprofessionalism of managers at Central Control, the unprofessionalism of Central Control operators, the unprofessionalism, for the whole time from the time my child was murdered, I had to endure all of this. And for them to come up here and lie like they do, and for this person to get away with almost killing me, and for them to come after me, when this person almost hit me with a bus, and them to believe her when they're lying, it's unjust. It's unjust that I'll lose my job while this person is still working. It's unjust. I have right here where where it shows that somebody else was put up a discourtesy. They got 7 days suspension, but I was fired. It shows I was fired. Why was I treated different? I wasn't discourteous to anybody. I never am. I've never been. They're lying.
We understand your distress. Would you like to take a few minutes to compose yourself?
I have evidence here. I have my stuff here. What do they have?
Commissioner?
Commissioners, I was on the bus, and I don't remember what bus. I was on the bus with Cynthia, and it was on First and Market, between Market and Little Alley. What bus was you driving at? It was, I think it was a Haight Street bus, and I personally witnessed her calling into Central Control, in the mic, to tell these people that that there was someone on the bus that was being very violent, right? And if I tell you, the guy responded, it was very curt and disrespectful to her, and I said, well, what's going on, Cynthia? And she told me, she said, that the guy, she had problems with, sexual harassment stuff. So I told her, now this was some years ago, and I'll never forget it, because I said, well, I'll write a letter, on the Central Control. And she told me about the sexual harassment. Now we know that the sexual harassment is very prevalent within the city departments, and it's sad for us women. But it takes us women to come together, and men who are not afraid to address the issues to stop this. Now, I do have Susan Brooks, who worked with the San Francisco Police Department, who knows Cynthia very well. She was another board member. She opted. She was had filed sexual harassment claim with the police department, and as a result, she was fired as well. And she opted to not even. She fought a little bit, and she just gave up. We need help.
I'll take the questions if I may, before you do. Time is running short, and what I would like to suggest, because there are elements here that, to me, are questionable at best, regarding, the allegations. And I would like to see much more evidence brought forth at this commission in regard to the altercation that occurred at the Animal Control Center, and what exactly, who was involved in, and who reported what and did what with whom. There's rather voluminous documentation here, but I have little recollection of specifics in that regard. If you are in favor, I would like to suggest continuing this item, taking into account all of the testimony that we've already heard, that we not go over that again, but to allow us to take a further look and to allow Ms. Carter or her representatives and MTA together to present us with any further information that will flesh out that incident, particularly at the Animal Control Center.
Pardon, Commissioner Yvette, the dismissal was not based upon the animal care and control incident. She received 7-day suspension for that.
But it was factored in.
It's part of the progressive discipline. She had 3 recommendations for dismissal.
The chair indicated that he gave little weight to that. And this upheld the department's recommendation for dismissal.
Anyone else?
Mr. President,
I just wanted to ask the commissioners, would you be so kind, please? It is very imperative that I would like to ask if you would take the facts. She just stated that they had all these investigations done. I believe before any decisions is made, if we could get the facts of them investigations, and if the investigations was in line with the MOU and the labor codes, then we set. And I just ask that you take that in consideration.
That's where I'm headed with this request for continuation.
Thank you kindly.
Because there's still quite a number of questions that have not satisfied at least this one commission. If we are unable to come to a meeting of minds unanimously in regard to this, then the end result is pure negative to the appellant, because the end result will simply be the application of this no future employment. But if we continue this item and we continue to investigate and look, satisfy for ourselves that the allegations are based on fact, that there is too much preponderance of testimony that we have received, not only in regard to this particular case, but to other cases, that if we deny context in our decision-making process, we do a disservice to the constituency we serve.
Yes.
Both city agencies as well as the individual citizens of San Francisco. So my request is, at least for this one commissioner, for me to be able to see more and look at more, that we continue this item to the next regularly scheduled meeting. That's the motion of the chair. Is there a second? Seconded? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Are there any nays? There being none, the motion passes unanimously to continue the item with the remarks that I have made. Now, I would like to ask everyone in the audience to stay for yet another minute until we are on item number 14. This commission cannot be deaf to all of the allegations that are made to us, both pro and con. We have a charter mandate to be sure that we are protecting each and every employee within the merit system of San Francisco, while we have also a commensurate duty to protect the agencies from valid misconduct. But we cannot turn a deaf ear to the preponderance of testimony that has reached us, at least in the last 2 meetings. I would like to, with the concurrence of both our commissioners, and until such time as we have a more full commission, request that our executive officer work closely with the city attorney's office to determine what steps exactly this commission can take in order to address what we are beginning to perceive as as a potential for gross misconduct. We want to be very sure that, one, we're acting within our jurisdiction, that we are not trampling on the rights of either the department of the city or the constituencies that we protect. And thirdly, that we be able to be advised by the city attorney's office as to how we can respond to requests for advocacy on one hand and for investigation. We have to know the facts in that regard as to what we can or cannot do before we can respond adequately. So this is I hope with the concurrence of my fellow commissioners, a request I will be making of the city attorney's office through our executive officers following that protocol. Furthermore, if there are actions that we can put on the table as being recommendations for appellants who feel that they still have not received adequate response and justice from this commission, we cannot advise them legally, publicly, but we should be able to provide some information as to adequate steps that might be taken by them. I think that lives up to the spirit of the mandate of this commission, and that we continue to be approaching all of these issues with as absolute fairness as is possible. Commissioners, you have, thank you.